hold on to whatever lead you had, and I said had because
it's gone.
It's gone.
They had one, but jumps on in.
There's a passive though.
Wow.
But it still doesn't keep Stormy safe. Yums might get bursted down next. Another double from Riz. Literally trying to work on that redemption that we've been talking about. At least innocent.
Do they still want to fight this? They're going to jump on in the mid lane anyway.
Oh, energy eruption used on Sakai, but they go after Grab instead. It isn't trying to deal with the other members, but it seems like they do not care about the damage.
This has been a compounding consequence for SRG OG Esports. It started earlier on with that Spear Destruction, choosing to fight, then Sakai's being in that side of the jungle around the orange buff, and now getting punished here. They lose the base turret. RRQ's swung 3.5k in their favor, and the Lord is up. They're feeling confident about this. They'll start it up. SRG is going to get in position here. They will force this again. Probably with Yums, but they're going to get caught here.
They find a target, and it's going to be Yums. Sakai's trying to find a kill onto Riz. Fury of the Phoenix will not land though. Sutsujet energy eruption will be used towards Sakai's. Edok is there as well to put some pressure, but that does not completely stop Sakai's from trying to contest. There's Edok too, once again, trying to block the way though. But will Sakai's find another round? Oh, the fist trap actually lands onto him. Sutsujet changes target.
What the setup right there, but Innocent's pushing the base anyway. He's going for Rins. He's going to be set up as a 1v1. He throws the Spear Destruction and he'll get Rins anyway. Pops the Wind of Nature, going against Edok. He has the damage. He picks up 2.
That was a close call. Wind of Nature, SOD. All means just to escape, even the Purify. But then he gets taken down now, more than ever, when he's needed the most by his team.
They can buy themselves 25 seconds here. Innocent will be back up for this. SRG has to delay this Lord push as much as possible. It was such a good job from RRQ. They dealt with Sakai's so much, zoning him out from the Lord. Innocent pushes, he gives the call. He's up in 10, and they'll have to stall this out. Some of the base turrets might fall here, depending on how RRQ plays this out. But right now, SRG is okay. They'll deal with the Lord, they'll deal with some of the pressure, but they bought themselves enough time to stay in the game.
The pendulum is becoming too real for this game, and mind you, we're already at how many kills? Like, if you do the math, 26 plus 19, that's I don't want to...
35. Wait, no.
No.
Wait,
see, this is how it affects our brain.
That's 45.
That's how unlimited clashes actually affect our brain. BMI out from Toy. Okay, just to escape the Phantom Execution. So, you have to respect the wave clear and the damage coming in from SRG.
Is your brain okay, Brina?
I hope so.
I hope everybody watching this one, their brain is okay. Because if it's 5 games of this... That's going to be intense. Conceal's going to be used. Edok will lead him charge here. Will get stopped in the Dark Wave in his tracks. So right now, this composition is paying dividends here for SRG OG Esports. Like, they're able to stay in this. They're able to go ahead and clear things out relatively well and quickly. And it's actually pretty difficult for RRQ to start up a fight. If they have to do anything, it's on Edok. He has to use that conceal like we just saw him, or, you know, flicker on in and set things up. But that's why the majority of this game has all been a decision from SRG. They've been the ones starting the fights. They've been the ones choosing that that route. And clearly that can work for them. But I feel like even for RRQ, you got to start to transition to be like, all right, how do we make sure we don't get just like pushed off the map from Innocent? Because with that base turret down now, that's something they can play into. Good thing the Lord is on that side and not the opposite side, so that alleviates some of the pressure. Oh, you know.
But even in just the orange buff, they decide to get bursted down. However, Immortality already popped, and Sakai will be able to find the kill on the dead. With timeline to save the game for RRQ. Deals enough damage with Blazing Duet once again. There's the stuff coming in from Tyrant. They go for Crab this time around, but Innocent is just chasing after every single member of
Kena
RRQ.
lagi dia.
They find
Jangan
another bravest fighter in.
And they go in, they get the slam on down as well.
Ada immortalnya pun. Dapat Moskonya.
And RRQ RRQ pushes and pulls their way to win this
RRQ,
team.
ya rata boy.
Trusted his ability to
Mantap,
sustain and get a shield. And now it's RRQ who prevails in game
RRQ
number
nih bos.
1.
The whole story here was the
RRQ
back
ini saya
and forth, the
tahunya
back
dia
and forth.
sabar narik keluar
A
dan
pendulum
itu
for both teams, and this time around,
selama
RRQ gets
ini
game number 1.
kepancing
What a
dia
phenomenal
keluar.
match
Kalau
one
dia di
in
dalam
this
tadi,
best of 5 again.
kayaknya
If we
udah-
get 5 games of this, I think we'll all go home happy. But this is a close one, Brigitte. I mean, both teams look so good there.
That was too close. I mean, you would think that RRQ would be the ones who are in a little more riskier position since they forced the fight close to SRG OG's base in a situation where they could have possibly had an easier way out to regroup or re-engage, but the way RRQ was just able to sustain all that, find the right timings to go in, especially for Toy. I must say, the timings Toy had using the Blazing Duet saved the team fights for RRQ multiple times.
Not only that, but Dyron. Like, Dyron, even in that last fight, I mean, he was doing this all game, but this was a Lapu-Lapu game of crazy proportions. Even that last fight, he had to be the guy a lot of times tanking, getting stuns off, even doing a decent amount of damage here. So between him, Irok, and Susujin, they were really able to go ahead and allow the team fights to be the way that they were. It was a great thing, you know, you see from the highlights over here overall in game 1, and it was just I mean, a lot of the micro decisions that were made on both sides were good. I would say that SRG OG Esports made more mistakes here, and that seems to be, of course, the case of the game, right? The team that makes more of those mistakes is usually going to lose the game.
And it's weird because I feel like all those mistakes were magnified whenever they were clearly in the lead.
Yeah.
So that's like for majority of the first few minutes, no, not even, like the mid portions of the game where it feels like individually SRG kept doing things away from the other members of their team, away from their teammates. So I feel like those are questions we might get answers later on.
Yeah, well, maybe the panel can answer that for us. We're going to throw it back over to Redmar and our boys on the panel.
Thank you so much, Brigitte and Naisu. Well, as expected, RRQ, much better draft, easier to pull off. But SRG fought back until they realized the biggest problem that we acknowledged by the end of the draft, damage output coming out of RRQ is just way too much.
Yeah, I think not just the damage output, Toy was able to come online, but for me, top 5 players of the match, Dyron. The guy was a monster, and even though SRG throughout the beginning of the match was able to kind of check RRQ, there was one player they weren't able to check the whole game.
Yeah, if Dyron doesn't get the MVP, I don't know. Right, like he came out swinging from the gates. He was the only person who was walking out of the mid game with any sort of lead whatsoever, second to only Toy, and even then it was by a very small margin. The only other person in terms of raw execution that was doing well was Edok. So it's wild how crazy and how close the margins were.
Yeah, if you remember Lapu-Lapu, if he gets to snowball very quickly, he's the hero that shines in longer engages. As the game went on, you saw that SRG were able to drag things out in terms of team fights because Innocent was also staying alive. But then Dyron's happy. At one point behind the scenes, Trex exclaimed, "What the heck is that cooldown?" He just kept getting his bravest fighter so quickly.
Yeah, I mean, in the matter of a fight 2 times, and he saved the second one for a bit farther into the fight. So, I mean, it's definitely insane. And without Dyron, I don't think RQ would have been able to pull through on that series.
I agree. I think that, you know, overall, Toy was playing a strong game. His first item power spike honestly felt when he got the Trinity, and as soon as he got the one where we saw his initial win over some pretty, I want to say overextensions from the side of Innocent, but he's doing it at a time where technically there's nothing to fight over in the map, and the Lord was kind of walking down on bottom side. Overall, this match was a lot closer than what most people would imagine, right? It was about how close can you execute and really how much value can the mid laners get out of their spells.
It was 51 kills in 20 minutes and 36 seconds. It was definitely a close game because you also got to see SRG recalibrate a bit. And at some point, they were just like, okay, these team fights are a struggle for us. Let's just see if we can get Sekais to get the Lord, get Innocent to split push, which was unfortunately just checked really well by RRQ. Real quick though, I want to look into Sekai's here. Do you think this was more of a, he had way more mistakes than he had good moments for Sekai's, or was E-Dog and even Susujin just checking him way too good?
I wouldn't even say that. I don't know. I don't think Sekai's made too many mistakes. In the beginning of the game, I was literally honoring him with how well he was sticking close to his team, even though he was Assassin, playing around Innocent. SRG played their composition very well. Better than what I thought their draft was going to do, honestly.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I think this is one of the few examples of an MLBB game that is by far the most exciting because both sides understood what their compositions wanted to do, and trading is a top priority. You never kind of want to walk away saying, oh, I lost 3 for 2, right? You always want to be 1 for 1, 50-50 every single time you engage your opponent.
Well, these two teams have set the bar not only for the series, but I feel like for the day with that monster 51 kill game in game number 1. RRQ or SRG, let's see what adjustments will be made when we come back from the break for game number 2.
When the world of business is constantly changing, you need to stay ahead. So what about AI to generate new possibilities? Machine learning to predict what customers will like. Or expand your business by forecasting delivery routes with real-time data. With the power of the cloud, imagine how AWS can transform your business.
Welcome back to the panel here at the Mid-Season Cup 2025 of the Esports World Cup. Still here with Brenmar, Gideon, and Trex. And before we head on over and continue this series, we kind of need a bit more info and context as to how RRQ and SRG ended up together. Let's watch this.
Innocent. So against RRQ, what do you think?
Just like with other teams, it's normal. We just need to prepare for them.
Our strategy, maybe it's for SRG. For strategy, I think you need to ask my coach. Let's go. Bang, di interview, kenapa pick SRG?
SRG request it.
No, it's lie, he lying.
So Jin, what's happening now?
Oh, now we are doing device setup. Nggak boleh kepo lah, rahasia.
Why cannot?
Rahasianya kami akan main. Nice. We're doing the rehearsal, guys, because so we know what we're gonna do in the match day.
Can you bring me around?
Yes, let's go. And this one is Innocent.
Your manager.
Say hi. And our manager, guys. Yes. Then this one is Sky Twins, the last season MVP. I think that's all, guys.
This is something cool.
Our manager, guys. Yes.
This is our key, and we have different than others because we are the defending champion, right? So we have the crown in the middle.
Good eye.
To perfect the storyline, we need to win. Confident can win.
Ya, insyaAllah dengan doa-doa korang kita orang boleh menang. Can you?
Semoga dimudahkan.
Amin. For Yoms, do your best and let's give a good match.
The beast at the gate is Innocent. And in that game number 1, though he did have a fantastic game, he was somewhat tamed by RRQ. Or dare I say a little bit more control. They weren't able to completely rein Innocent in.
Yeah, no, at least coming into this game, I'm a little more excited for it because it looks like Toy is up for the challenge. He's ready to go toe-to-toe in lane against Innocent and even during team fights.
And what's interesting about Toy is it seems like a much more controlled aggression. And not saying that Innocent's out of control aggression is bad. It's where we get to see those saves that we saw on that Lord right before that Lord push. Something that completely put SRG, kept them in the game for a bit longer there. But I think Toy is definitely ready for this.
It's a stat check, It's to keep RRQ in play.
Yeah, and if you want to be a beast in Game 2, similar to our players, you can go ahead and grab the MSC 2025 pass. Again, it's only available up until August 7th. It's 20% off for the entire period. Don't forget to get Nathan's new Archon of Knowledge skin, one of my favorite MSC skins that we've ever released. And you can also get MSC coins, the battle mode, the returning skin of Atlas, the Base Explorer skin, and many more rewards. You do not want to miss out on that. All right, so drafts for game number 2. We were unanimous that RRQ drafted a much easier lineup to pull off. SRG kept up with them mechanically, but I think now the focus shifts away from the center of the map. You're really gonna have to look now at what Dyron ends up with and how well Cram, with his pick, can't stop Dyron from doing what Dyron does.
I want to agree with you, but at the same time, what it really boils down to is whether or not the mid is going to get effective because of Dyron on the other side. Look at this quote from Rins.
Yeah, he did mention that during M6 that he wasn't completely in the zone. There were a few things that was sort of bothering him, but now in that game number 1, it really didn't look like it. He was very confident on that juice in.
Cut to Innocent, taking him out right of the paint.
But that's Innocent things, man. Innocent could do no wrong right now. But I want to touch on what you said, Renmar. In terms of draft, honestly, SRG's draft won me over halfway through that game. I don't think their draft was any worse than RQ's, but I will agree that I think RQ's draft was a bit harder to pull off. There was a bit more things that they had to do in sense of hit certain skill shots. The timing of that Fury of the Phoenix had to always be perfect, whereas RQ's draft, was just a bit more straightforward for me. Everyone had a very easy objective.
I agree they had a very easy objective, but then it's really your coin flipping every single time for SRG, right? It's like I have to mechanically outplay you, and Sutsujin's only worry is, am I going to get tsunami slammed, and can I lock down Sakai's?
As we head into the draft for game number 2, surprise, surprise, what I have been telling everyone should be the pick of MSC 2025, the Akai, is banned in the first phase by SRG.
So do we see a Fredrin ban as the last one from SRG? Pure target onto Sutsujin, because it's true, all we've seen from RRQ so far is utility jungle.
Oh, they're trying to get Sutsujin into the assassin mindset.
Let's go toe for toe, ninjas in the jungle, baby.
I think they actually won't ban out the Fredrin here for the side of SRG. I think they actually want Sutsujin to be on the Fredrin, because then it is more straightforward as to what they want. At least for the side of SRG OG Esports, right? I think even if they get the Fredrin at this point, it's also not too bad. Ooh, the Ruby ban for the side of RRQ.
It's because the YSS could have been open, and essentially you take out the Ruby, YSS is now sort of softly taken away as an option.
I think YSS is going to get first pick by SRG's side.
Yeah, it's something they've picked up before. It's something we've barely ever seen. I think they have to pick it up, but against, how does it fare against the Fredrin? You get hit by that taunt when you come in? Is it? I feel like it could be something similar to the Joy, where if you come in too close, you're in a kind of a bad spot.
Well, I mean, it's the same problem that you have with Lancelot, right? You're basically trying to use your iframes, the traceless in this case, to kind of stay ahead of the game. But honestly, let's see, right? Because Yishin Shin has been picked up whenever it is open, especially when Red Side doesn't ban it for a majority of teams.
Yeah, and if they go YSS here, that means SRG could end up with a double carry at most. The double marksman strategy that we've been seeing all throughout MSC. So RRQ still going to lean into the juice, and now Kalea combo at the center of the map with strong control. I think SRG, they need to take a page from RRQ's book, and they might want to consider picking up the Badang now.
Badang definitely be clean. Maybe lock in their mage a little earlier this time.
Oh, yeah.
I think that could definitely be a possibility as well. But now that they have something like the YSS, I'm excited to see exactly how it plays out.
I think right now what it's riding on is whether or not you can get a winning matchup for the side of EXP. I'm trying to think of synergies right now, because that's what blue side, especially within this first phase, really set up for. Can we set up for second phase strong synergies or strong laners? And in this case, it's going to be strong laners for the side of SRG. The CC, I'm okay with. The Farsa, I'm a little worried for, considering that, you know, Gatot hasn't been picked up as a counter engagement.
Yeah, really great pick here by RRQ, considering that you don't have to worry about the Fovis on the other side, and you needed someone to reach that Farsa. Arlot's a great pickup for Dyron.
Yeah, but at least I will say with them picking it up this early, there's not as many counters as RRQ had last time against some of those long-range mages.
Yeah.
So I think this could be comfortable. The CC, though sometimes we see the XP lane get pushed back into second phase, CC's just solid overall, right? She can't really do any wrong. You do kind of lack your crowd control here a little bit, but they can make up for that in second phase.
Huh. They take away the Granger, so they're taking away the reach as much as possible from Innocent, but then RRQ doesn't have enough pieces right now to actually make, if ever hypothetically, they decide to go Harith in the gold lane.
I mean, they don't have to go Harith, right? There's still Moskov available. They can still play Claude if they wanted to as well, all of which do pretty decent into the Farsa at the end of the day. We've seen that Toy is actually pretty capable of taking on, Innocent's Moskov in a 1v1 scenario. And even then, I'm still a little worried about a couple of things. Number one, whether or not Gatot is a consideration for RRQ for banning, or whether or not SRG is going to completely take out the Fredrin at this point. There we go. Now, we're forcing them to go into an assassin section, which then again, let's say if RRQ get access to Lancelot, then there's a big question of, is there enough burst with the Kalea?
I think at this point, I think you still maybe ban out the Lancelot, maybe you ban out the Hayabusa, something of that nature. You're right though, lack of burst. They have the Jushin, they don't really have that on the side of RRQ. It's mostly chip damage right now. So, and then they ban the Granger against themselves as well, which could have been a really decent, right away pickup for them, being first pick in second phase. Where does RRQ go from here, honestly? I feel like they're in the bad spot of this draft right now.
Excuse me, they banned this?
There's a possibility. Because keep in mind, RQ is the only other team that puts CC in the gold.
Yeah.
So they're thinking that the CC might go into the gold lane.
And they did it last time they had the YSS. They went Ruby Dyroth against CFU, which yes, it's very different. But the point is with the burst damage of a Farza and YSS, it is very doable. And they could even pick something that's a bit more aggressive that still output damage, something like the Dyroth. I'm not crazy about it, but you get my point, right?
Yeah. So for SRG's last ban, I think I'm on the same boat as you guys. Just ban out an assassin. It is the Hayabusa. One of the things you want to go for if you have a Farsa in your lineup, and considering where the YSS will be compared to the rest of the team as a safe ban, then they do end up picking the Harith away from the side of SRG if ever SRG was looking for a more traditional carry in the gold lane. So are they gonna lean into the double fighter setup to supplement this YSS is the big question now for SRG.
I think it's going to be really difficult to actually go for this like double fighter setup at this point, because yes, they've got the damage, but at the same time getting picked off from the side of RRQ is also highly likely, right? They've got good ways of disengage, they've got a great pick-off hero in the Kalia, so sustaining through the damage is always a possibility, and I think the only one that we should be worried about was the Ruby, but it's already banned out. So it forces SRG, unless they've got some really deep pockets in that gold lane, to say, hey, Innocent, what other fighters can you play?
Definitely something. They go for the Claude, though. Still need a roamer, and I think they need some crowd control. They do take the Gatot, solid, something that can still hold down the front line. On the side of RQ, they need some physical damage at this point. I think the Lancelot's probably their best option here.
They can go Lance, they can go Ling. I don't think there's anything else that's pretty crazy, but I think that SRG are banking that's like, sure, you could play Ling, but then you're late game. If you play Lancelot, the first two items are the most important, and we don't believe in your mechanics enough to get away with it.
Yeah, you need the raw damage. The Arlot and Kalea, with what SRG's looking like right now, might not be able to last that long. So they do go for the Lancelot. They get that burst. How are we feeling about these drafts? Which team are you siding with?
I really like the SRG draft right now. I think it's very straightforward. I think it's clean. I think it's a bit simpler than what they tried to do last time.
I think that it's still going to be a 50-50 between the two teams. We're going to see something very similar to the last game.
Yeah.
A bit of a switch in roles, but I think SRG's lineup will scale much better.
I'm on the same boat as Trex here, leaning a little bit more towards the SRG draft. But let's see, maybe Darren might pop off again for RRQ, completely throwing her predictions out of the way. So, bring it in nice. What about you two? What do you guys think about the draft for this game number 2?
Thank you so much, panel. I'll tell you what we think. I'm going to go with RRQ here. I think they had a great game last time, Brina. Dyren was locked in, and he's got the Arlot in his hand. That is a little more risky, though, because we've seen some Final Slashes change the course of games, either for better or for worse. So you guys can let us know in the comments as well what you guys think, who has the better draft for Game 2. Welcome to the Land of Dawn here. It's this best of 5 to move on forward. Brigida, what do you think? Are you going with the boys on the panel?
Okay, I think we're gonna be split in terms of what we think when it comes to the draft for game number 2, because as much as I wanted to side with RRQ as well, granted what they were able to accomplish in game number 1, and given that they had the Jushin Arlot combination, that could be paired up well with their other heroes. The AoE that SRG has right now and the type of lineup that they have looks too good in terms of team fights, and well, they must be played to coordinate well enough to be able to make things work, right? And if that's going to be the case for SRG OG heading into this game, then things may be, one, a lot more simpler and a lot more better for them, I feel.
I feel like the early game, especially when these level 4s are available, RRQ could really punish in the early objective takes for the Turtles. A lot of that, again, comes with the fact that that is just the power of a Kalea. That's why a lot of teams like to go ahead and pick that up. You also throw in the Arlot, that kit to go ahead and help you out. There's a whole lot that they can do in these early fights that gives them a advantage when it comes to early team fights. Now, where does SRG OG Esports come into that? They have just quite a bit of damage early on, which they can go ahead and do. Taking a look at the first blood rates here, this is how much these teams like to fight, as you can already see here. He should be finding pretty tanky.
Yeah, literally fighting in as early as now, less than 2 minutes this game, but
I've seen some early first blood.
Yeah,
30 seconds or so.
26?
26.
There has been one, which was at 26 seconds. That's true. That happened in the group stage. So we're yet to see that happen in the knockouts, because teams tend to play a little more cautiously, and that's for sure. But that does not seem cautious at all. What a surprise setup coming in from Siren. They get to burst down Rin's first. However, Stormy trying to hold their life, but he won't be able to survive that as well. Sutsujin freely gets hold of the objective for his team, but it's a beautiful curtain called Yo-Yo Blitz coming in from Crab. Finds a way to respond to RRQ, but Siren, he buys some time for Sutsujin to steal away the orange or the purple buff.
Okay, a whole lot happened there. Suzujin should be fine. He's gonna throw an arrow. Never always so close to dying. Again, earlier even Sakai is getting that charge up, the shot in there, but man, so Turtle goes to RRQ. That was a fight started from the final slash like we've expected to happen there. But even when you get that down, if you are in a position where you're kind of outgunned, outdamaged, that's what I was saying with SRG's lineup, they have a lot of good early damage. And so when you jump into that fight, and mind you, 2 of those kills went to Cram, so this might be one of the games where it's like Cram now has this lead against Dyron, he's got 2 early kills on a CC, which is going to allow him to go ahead and duke it out, but already up top.
And 3 members are going to actually punish him right there. So as you mentioned, they are looking to secure that early advantage for Cram once again. And I believe this happened earlier too. They just have to really keep it close. But the Salmon Force already committed by Toy doesn't get to actually fully answer back though. The BMI for the Claude has been such a crucial part as well in the way that he's able to keep himself safe. Has to be extra careful though because the other members of SRG OG are also down bottom as well. But going back, we can't even say anything about what happens in terms of the lineup because for now, RRQ will try to burst down Yooms. Is it the right decision? However, Sakai's actually pretty low as well. They're doing a great job at just sustaining and holding on despite all that early game damage you mentioned.
Brigadier, it's still the same thing. Both teams going back and forth already in game 2, just like they did. They're looking to make a play up here on Cram. Nice slash.
That's a beautiful lantern flare, final slash, but now they get tied with the curtain call. Both Edok and Dyron get taken out right before the turtle.
See, that's crazy because like RRQ just ends up, you know, surviving that whole interaction in the mid lane. They could have just started probably the turtle. They go for a play up top, and now they're going to lose this objective over to SRG. Cram will go ahead and zone out as much as possible. Susujin, and they might get some more. I mean, they have to respect this. They flicker forward.
Such an aggressive decision coming in from RRQ, and that cost Rin's his life. Dyron still decides to go in, though. Does use the final slap. He actually does. A nice follow as well coming in from Edok, but the blazing to it from Innocent might force them to get away. Salmon Force already committed by Toy, but will he be able to find a way? Edok will fall next. Crab battling up against Toy, but finds a way to escape, but no!
Hey, if they want those kills, they're gonna go for it. So many aggressive flickers being used. Finally, Cram goes down because he was 5-0 for a second there. And RQ had to get something. They had to get the shutdown going. We're gonna look at the instant replay here from STC. This was all started. Look at this. Rins goes forward. They get caught in a bad position, but still, it also brings it to a fight here where then Dyron can join. He uses the final slash, but this whole time, both gold laners also rotating towards this fight. I mean, if we had 51 kills earlier, I don't know how many we're gonna have this time in game 2.
We might be exceeding that even if the pace keeps going like this, but even despite the early lead that Crab was able to establish, or SRG OG was able to establish for their XP lane, RRQ are actually the ones who get to convert into a turret first. There's not too much of a significant lead in terms of the other laning matchups. It's just mostly really on the EXP lane. And so RRQ, I feel like that's one thing you'd really have to look at because they tend to overextend in a way. I mean, we're still in the 6-minute mark of the game, yes, but these are decisions that can immediately be punished by a single curtain call, and that applies to whoever decides to go in, be it Rins with the flicker on the Jushin and whatnot. So like, those are things you have to calculate a bit more if you were RRQ.
This is good though from RRQ because again, you know, based off the rematch that we remember seeing, or the match we remember seeing from M6, RRQ definitely comes into this series a lot more aggressive. You know, they are a team that likes to be a little more foundational, a little more stick to the book here. a lot with these objectives, and they're going to have to fight for the second turtle. They are dealing with the pressure from SRG's lineup. There's a jump on in.
Kena kan apa gue bilang, harus
Coming in from
sabar.
RRQ, but
Mantap.
Sutsujin still gets the turtle for his team. Enoch though will be punished here. Double kill for Cram. Riz just trying to scare away the other members from
Ditukar
chasing
dua
them,
enggak
but
tuh,
that was
ditukar dua turtle-nya.
clearly somehow
atas
a
masih
bit more
jebol.
favorable for SRG.
Yeah, they get a couple kills off of it. They get some pressure. They dealt with Toy. Toy was starting to scale up pretty well on this Harris.
Whoa.
Oh, there it is.
Okay, those are very aggressive
Oh, ini
combinations
kalau udah sakit.
coming in from SRG.
Itu susah dia nangkap.
And then somehow Dyran gets to cancel that
Dyran.
feathered airstrike, but that was a close call for Rins. Okay, so going back, I know we did mention that RRQ, oh, hold on, Sutsujin, will he get to escape this? Cram doing a great job at pressuring him as he tries to defend that tier 1 down bottom.
If last game we saw
Oh my goodness.
RRQ's XP later Dyran have a great game, now this time it's Cram's for game 2. 7-1 and 2 now. This CC is starting to be a really big problem. Actually, it's been a problem for the majority of the game, but whoa, hold on.
That's a lot of damage
Waduh,
coming in from
sakit
Stormy.
betul.
The other members didn't even have to do much. They just stood right in front of them, blocked their way to Stormy out or answer back, and now that's a Zaman Force coming in from Choi. Tries to burst down Cram, but he gets to bounce away. So not even like SRG can afford to do those kinds of plays because
Yeah.
they have the mobility to keep themselves safe.
That's one of the things that the panel is really trying to paint a picture here too. You know, there's in terms of damage potential from RQ, it's a little bit more difficult because yes, you need the scaling from a Harith, but again, if Sutsujin hasn't been able to utilize much because of this zone potential that a Farsa gives. I know Gideon mentioned that he was a little worried about it, but so far it's working really well in terms of damage. That's all the Farsa really does. Like, you are a big artillery setup for your team to play around that feathered airstrike, and they've done so well at catching targets. I mean, you lay that down, you have an Avatar of the Guardian, you get to jump on in. It's such a damage zone of that RQ wants to stay away from because that Innocent can just come through with the Blazing Duet. So we're seeing a lot of these ultimates from SRG, OG Esports work really well in conjunction with each other, and it's RQ that's trying to scramble and be like, how do we approach these fights? What do we do? Because a lot of that is this final flash.
Oh, Phantom Execution doesn't connect, but they still get the kill on Stormy. However, one man down for SRG.
Nyer itu lebih aman nih.
And that is one way you could also use your resources in conjunction with one another for RRQ. Like, just take them by surprise like that.
They want to take down one of the biggest damage dealers. They're going to be fine. There's the initiation, though.
Three-man number right there, but with the Blazing Duet, SRG OG are actually able to hold down. It's a triple for Crab, could possibly be a maniac, and he finds it on the CC. 11-1 and 3.
And he's going to get the Lord. Cram is right now the team. He is doing everything.
Yeah.
Look at this. The initiation comes through, but Cram is fine. With a vengeance, with as stacked as he is, he just does so much damage to RQ around here. And, you know, you're sitting here, he gets a Maniac, and then they get the Lord. Like, how do you stop this? And this is such an interesting thing because CC takes a very specific lineup for it to really work the way it has. But so far, it's been phenomenal in the hands of Cram for game 2, and this is giving a huge swing in favor for them. RQ doesn't really have an answer to deal with this. We usually see CCs do well in damage, but look, he's sitting at number 1, pretty far ahead of a Farsa. That is insane that he's actually able to do that. And also, a lot of this has to do when he jumps on into this, he pops the Vengeance, and he's fine. He's also tanky and does so much damage.
Yep. That'll be a lot of bounty if ever they do get to find a kill onto Cram, but that might be something that will be a bit tricky to pull off if you're RRQ because you have to pay attention to a lot of other stuff. Because the other members can decide to go in whenever they like. There's the AOG, there's the Blazing Duet, and right now you're seeing the feathered airstrike. They'll have to work on clearing and taking down the Lord first before they proceed with anything else. And looking at it right now, Dyran does have the flicker if they'd want to decide to go for something, but you'd also have to consider, would it be best to actually use it as a means to cancel out the other members of SRG OG instead? But he decides to use it as he set up, gets the follow-up from the other members, and Sakai is the first to get targeted down, but the AOG And now Innocent goes in with the blazing duet. Will find the kill onto Riz as well. And the feathered airstrike will nearly catch up to E-Dog. But that was clearly a decision by RRQ. They wanted to force a fight right there.
That was a risk, if anything, bring it on. I mean, they chose to fight. They thought, you know, we clear the Lord, we can handle this, we're going to go for it. Now they're going to lose this base turret. And even so, it's been time and time again where we've seen this final slash used to start some of the fights, and RRQ ends up just losing it. And that's really tough because you got to think, who do you final slash? How do you win that fight? Because even if you slash cram into the equation, again, he's going to pop the Vengeance. He's going to be able to go ahead and just kind of bounce around the team from RRQ. And that was also the window for Innocent to go ahead and come in with that blazing duet. So you're just in a really tough situation if you're RRQ to make this lineup work. And it's really showing that the draft difference here. I mean, from start to finish so far, SRG OG Esports has just been able to go ahead and capitalize on a lot of the decisions they made, but also just the way that this lineup works. Now it gets even more difficult to deal with Cram because he's got an immortality.
And he's still on that 11-1 KDA. Now we put a bit more highlight on him. Also nearly, or actually completed his bid already on the CC. So that just adds up to the reasons that RRQ might find it a bit more difficult to deal with him, even if you want to potentially take him out first as probably one of the members who gets to extend a little bit further deep into the fight. But even when they decide to go for him or the Tsunami Slab, it does not seem to be the best possible decision. He gets blasted as well. Substitution tries to go for Stormy, but just Citrus with the wings by wings. And Innocent decides to go in as well with the blazing duet. They might actually try to go for this base turret.
They're going to jump into the base. They don't have any waves pushing in the mid lane just yet, but they can go ahead and wait for that one on the bottom to come up. They will just ignore the Lord, it seems. There's still 10 seconds on E-Dog to come up. So we'll see if SRG decides to end the game on this push.
There's a concealed play. They definitely want to look for something here. Final stack already committed by Dyrant, but Innocent, he will just be targeting the turrets right here. Dyrant buying a lot of time, but the curtain call is already committed onto him. Gets bursted down as well. There's a Tsunami Slab, but E-Dog, he won't be able to sustain. And now SRG OG, they equalize the series.
No sweeps for this one. We didn't think it'd be that case anyway. 1-1 into the series now. What a dominant game game 2 was. I mean, there was some moments where it was a back and forth, you know, but ultimately, hey, it was Cram's game here for game 2. Definitely saw what Dyrant did in game 1. He's like, hey, I can do that too.
You could forget everything that happened in game number 1 with that performance from Cram in game number 2.
Yeah. I mean, he, again, a maniac.
He got a maniac
on the CC, top of the damage meters. Like, this doesn't, like, this is what we wish our XP laners in our own games would be like. You know, I mean, like, he was able to just go ahead and do so well with this. And again, I want to say, as we look at the highlights, a lot of it had to do with that early damage profile that comes with this kind of lineup, with the fact that the timings on a lot of this were also on point. They had to utilize the Avatar of the Guardian and that Feathered Airstrike really well with each other, but it also worked well with the YSS. I mean, this was the first pick in the draft because of the reason that you get some of that additional map presence. You know, you're able to go ahead and spot things out. So, amazing game here for SRG OG Esports. We're going to be throwing it back to the panel to go ahead and see what their thoughts are about game number 2.
Nice, are you throwing a bit of shade towards me? I'm usually